I want you to look at this guy. Just look at him. This is Naotaka, and as you can see, he is a giant frozen Smurf wielding a katana the size of a minivan. He has no grand villain monologue, he doesn't even really know who you are. His entire character arc is, he shows up in a cutscene, casually slaps Honda around as one does, and then grunts at you before swinging a very large sword wildly in your direction. Sound impressive? Sound interesting? No, of course it doesn't. By all means, this should be a forgettable, mid-tier hurdle, and yet Naotaka is, unironically, the most respected, most perfectly designed boss fight in Nioh 2. Which is actually a fascinating paradox if you think about it. Because in hardcore action games, easy bosses usually get mocked by the community. They become jokes. Pinwheel from Dark Souls. You need to say more? You know the type. And make no mistake, among veterans, Naotaka is widely considered to be one of the easiest bosses in the entire franchise, but nobody mocks him. He is universally beloved. Why? Because when new players hit Region 3, Naotaka is a massive frozen brick wall. He is the first boss in the game that completely refuses to tolerate your panic rolling nonsense. He is a wall for beginners, yes, but for veterans, he is the ultimate playground. He commands respect from both ends of the skill spectrum because he is the fairest fight and the fairest teacher you will ever have in that game. Oh, and before I forget, hey there, I'm Shaped, by the way. I stream on Twitch, link is in the description. But anyway, let's just take a look at the mechanics for a second. Let's talk about hitboxes. When Naotaka swings that massive odachi, the hitbox is exactly where the blade is. It's not some lingering, invisible aura of damage. It's not some shockwave that magically extends 10 feet past its visual effect. If you are standing 1 pixel outside the range of that arc, that blade does not hit you. It is brutally, beautifully precise. He's got honest hitboxes. He's got honest tracking. We live in an era of gaming right now where developers think it's fun to make bosses put on ice skates and magically rotate 180 degrees to mid-air punish you for dodging. Now, Taka doesn't do that. He just commits to his swings. If he starts a heavy overhead slam and you dodge to the side, he smashes the floor where you were. He doesn't magically pivot to read your inputs. And more importantly, he has a very deliberate, very rhythmic tempo. Look at that. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. In modern action RPGs, especially recently, with games like Elden Ring popularizing it, there is this obnoxious trend of bosses actively trying to trick you. They pull their weapon back and then they just hold it there for 10 unnatural seconds, defying gravity, physics, and human momentum, by the way, just waiting for you to panic roll, only to swing the weapon in 0.01 seconds the moment your iframes end. Now, Taka doesn't do fake outs. If you mash the dodge button because you're terrified, he will catch your recovery frames and send you back to the shrine. But if you actually keep your composure and press the dodge button through the attack right before it connects and match his rhythm, you're just fine. This is basic fundamentals to any veteran player, but new players, especially the ones that like to panic roll, are forced to confront this, or like I said, make another trip back to the shrine. He is a fair teacher. And because his mechanics are so fair, pros can push the absolute limits of their aggression with his fight. You can test exactly how many stances you can do, or how many active skills you can fit in between his swings. But the moment you get arrogant and fumble those fundamentals, he will absolutely still wreck you. And that's the wonderful thing about this guy. If you die to Naotaka, it is never because the game cheated you. It is 100% because you messed up. But you know what's actually really messed up though? The fact that this simple, relatively easy blue guy completely outclasses the vast majority of bosses in Nioh 2. Don't get me wrong, there are some incredible, mind-blowing encounters in the game, visually and mechanically. There are fights that will completely blow Naotaka out of the water. You have bosses like Yoshitsune flipping around on bridge railings, firing barrages of flying swords at you like he's operating a magical Gatling gun. You have Rin Hayabusa, moving at the speed of light around his boss room, spamming one-tap shurikens and literally Azuna dropping your character into the 5th dimension if you blink at the wrong time. You even have Saito Toshimitsu, an incredibly notorious but very memorable human Odachi wielder who buffs himself, casts magic, and reads your inputs like he's holding the other half of your controller. They are spectacles, but if you put a gun to my head right now and told me to go grind one of those flashy bosses or go square up versus the blue Smurf, I'm picking the Smurf every time. Which brings us to a very weird realization about the gaming community and the gaming industry at large. Somewhere along the line, developers and players started confusing difficulty with enjoyment. Saito Toshimitsu is, objectively, a much harder boss than Naotaka. But how many of you actually have fun fighting Saito? How many of you sit down, crack your knuckles, and say, "Ah yes, I cannot wait to fight the guy who hyper armors through my attacks to cast a water shot point blank in my face"? For the average player, when a boss becomes too difficult, too complex, too flashy, they stop playing the video game. When an encounter feels overwhelming or visually incomprehensible, the average gamer doesn't adapt. They yell, "Mom, get the buffs," and they resort to terrorism. This is where the cheese epidemic comes from. It happens in any action game. It happens in Elden Ring. It happens in Souls games. It happens in Nioh. It happens everywhere. When there is no clear, honest way to beat a boss, players just bypass the mechanics entirely. They spend 5 minutes outside the fog gate casting Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength and drinking their wondrous physic. In Nioh's case, it's they pull out the cheesiest soul cores, cast their favorite ninjutsu feathers, and then brute force confusion loops until the boss is helpless, stun locked, and dead on the floor. You don't interact with the boss's moveset anymore because of the visual noise, the unnatural delays, the hyper armor, all of that's trained you not to. You just hit your panic button so you don't have to deal with it. You turn a brilliant action combat engine into a spreadsheet where the only math that matters is how fast you can press the I win button. Now, Taka doesn't do that to you. He makes you want to dance with them. Which brings me to my final point. I don't think anyone actually knows what makes a good boss fight anymore. There's this exhausting trend in modern gaming where developers seem to think that every single major encounter needs to be a heart-stopping, 6-phase, biblically accurate cinematic event that hype up every single boss to the exact same level of intensity. But here's the problem. If every boss is designed to feel like the final boss, then none of them feel like the final boss. You just end up with an exhausting, bloated roster that overstays its welcome. Video games need pacing. They need peaks and valleys. They need moments of quiet, mechanical purity to break up the screeching orchestra music and screen-wide particle effects. I am incredibly confident that Team Ninja did not sit down in their boardroom and say, "Ah yes, Naotaka, the guy with the ice stick, he will be the beloved fan favorite of the entire franchise." They probably just designed him to be a standard mid-game hurdle. But because he's so simple, because he is so deeply reliant on the core fundamentals of this game's amazing combat system without any added fluff, he ends up shining brighter than the bosses that have 10 times his development budget. He proves that you don't need to reinvent the wheel to make a masterpiece. You just need to respect the player's time and respect your own game's mechanics. But hey, that's just me. Like I said, I don't know what makes a good boss fight either. I'm just a guy sitting in a chair talking into a microphone, traumatized by Azuna drops and magical Dachi Man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I right, or are you one of the people who genuinely enjoys fighting Saito Toshimitsu? Let me know. I love to study your brain in the lab. I stream daily on Twitch and YouTube. Link in the description. Come and hang out. Watch me play action games the way the good Lord intended. That's it. Thanks for watching. Love you. Peace.